Hi. So for this week's modules, we had to create a comic strip, and we had to do it under what we are learning from this week, which is the development learning theory. So as you can see, I created a comic strip. I believe this was Sally and this was Will. So, and it goes all the way down, and it just um, has all the red terms and then definitions to it, my definitions. So the first reading material was cognitive development theory, which was Piaget's theory, which was developed in 1936. So I guess first I'll go down my screen and then I'll go into fuller details. So one of the first words on the readings was theory of cognitive development, which I put Sally over here as they are going on a boat. This little boy here will have lots of trouble understanding learning theory. So Sally is Miss Know-It-All, and she is kind of helping Will out. And as you can see, as the comic strips go down, Will looks very, very confused. Okay, so yeah, so theory of cognitive development. Sally replied with a developed by Piaget, and I believe children construct a mental model of the world. And then over here, again, Will has another question about genetic epistemology, which Sally believes is structure properties of intelligence. And then again, they're still on this little boat, and Will says schemas. So then Sally says basic building blocks of intelligent behaviors, way of organizing knowledge. And then we have over here simulation, another red word, which Sally's response was using an existing schema to deal with a new situation. And then we had accommodation, which occurs when knowledge does not work and needs to be changed in order to deal with new situations. So Sally is just a know-it-all. And then here is equilibration, which is the force moves development along and does not progress as at a steady rate. Rather, it just does in leaps and bounds. So that's still on the Piaget's learning theory. And then we have over here another red word, which is stages of development, which was proposed by Piaget. And then it has 4 stages of cognitive development. And then we have here sensory motor stage, which Sally believes is she can describe it as being object permanence, and it occurs from birth till about 2 years of age. And then pre-operational stage is children think symbolically, which occurs from 2 till 7. And then here, concrete operational stage, which is the beginning of logic and operational thoughts, which occurs from age of 7 till 11. And then formal operational stage, it's an abstract concept and logical test begin to occur. And it happens from 11 till about adolescence or into adulthood. And then lastly, for Piaget, we had discovery learning, which is children learn best through doing and actively exploring. So yeah, that was Piaget's development theory. And then we go here with the sono-proximal development, which was which theory was elaborate or which was constructed from via Vygotsky, and it's the social culture theory. So proximal development is the difference between what a learner can do without help and what they can achieve with guidance from a partner. And then scaffolding, which is social and instructional supports for students with learning within the CPD. And then here we have another word, and then as you can see, Will is very lost, lots of questions. So about more knowledgeable others. So then Sally believes children do better if a person with more knowledge coaches and scaffolds. And then effective scaffolding is achieved when one gains and maintains learners' interest, one makes tasks simple, controls children's level of frustration, and demonstrates tasks. And then I'm missing one in there because I couldn't fit. But so yeah, those are the effective scaffolding. And then over here, knowledge through social interactions as defined by Vygotsky. The teacher role is mediating the child's learning activity. And then reciprocal teaching, which is it's both the students and the teacher. They collaborate in learning and practicing for key skills. And then, however, the teacher's role in the process is reduced over time. And then lastly, we have collaborate learning, which is it suggests that group members should have different levels of ability to more advanced. So more advanced peers can help less advanced. So then I want to go back to the top portion, which was the Piaget's learning theory. So his theory was the first theory that believed or that described that children have different thinking and have way different thinking than actual adults. So this learning theory was different from the other ones because it was concerned with children, and then it focused on development, and then it proposed discrete stages of development, and it was marked with qualitative differences. And then, so in his theory, he had 3 stages of development, like discussed right here. The first one was the sensory motor stage, was from 0 to 2 years. And from what I remember is the object permanence. So like babies or your early toddlers, they think like, perhaps if I have the water and then I move it, they are very unable to put those two together just because of their development stage. And then we have the pre-operational stage, which is from 2 to 7, which is symbolic thinking. So what is one example that I can think of the top of my head? I think, shoot, I had some, but I forgot. So this one, so like if you say the children, like, just an example, if you tell them, if you eat the seed of a watermelon, it will go into your tummy. And then you'll grow a a watermelon in your tummy. So they still believe that symbolic thinking. I had a better example, but hopefully that one will do. And then we have the beginning of logic operational. It's just 7 through 11, so they have a little bit more concrete thinking. And then you have your abstract concept, which occurs 11 through your up into your adulthood. So from this theory, Piaget, he believed that child development is determined by biological maturation and interactions with the environment. But then this is done by his three, where is them? They're right here. Where his three little blocks, I guess you can think, that he thought that every child goes throughout every development stage. So they go through schemas, which is building blocks of knowledge. Then they adaptation process takes in place. They either assimilate, accommodate, or they are equilibrium. And then that's what allows them to go into the second stage. So an example that I can give. So when they're babies, which is right here. So in order for them to go into the next stage, which is the pre-operational stage, they have to learn. They build blocks of knowledge, and then they go through either assimilate, they accommodate, or they do equilibrium from the knowledge and that they're gaining and the experiences from the environment. And then they can move on to the next stage, which is concrete operational stage. And then, so for him, every child has to go through every stage in order for the child to be fully, developed. And then before my time runs out, I'm going to talk about the zone of proximity development, which is the Vygotsky. So I really like this theory, just because I'm going to read a little passage. Actually, I'm not. Okay, so I am. So this is what it was on the reading. So it was the distance between the actual development levels as determined by the dependent problem solving and level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with mold-capable peers. So the big one for this one is scaffolding, which I think teachers use, even teachers in early childhood field use. And it's just very beneficial for the child, because if you have a child in the classroom who is just can't comprehend content, or he's there in the environment but he can't, so then we as teachers come and we scaffold either that lesson plan or that activity in order for the child to fully comprehend the lesson. So we become kind of like the mediator, I guess. And then, which is another one. So then this one's the more knowledgeable. So children do better if a person with more knowledge coaches or scaffolds. So us teachers. And then effective scaffolding is when is achieved if the child is paired up with a more knowledgeable person than, and then scaffolding is done, then effective scaffolding occurs. And then this one, collaborate learning, which is the other one. So yes, so then this one was the 5, I think it was 5 or 5. Oh, my time's gonna run out. But yes, I hope that I made sense and that you were able to understand my clip art, not clip art, Ah, my